Okay, I'll talk after. Okay. We better talk. I can give you some advice.
Good evening and welcome to the Fredonia Central School District Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. We start every meeting with a pledge to the allegiance, and what we typically have been doing is kind of starting a tradition here at Fredonia High. We pull a senior leader from our class to lead us in the pledge. And I know that Cara Vecchio is here, and I'm just going to ask Cara to come forward and lead us in the pledge. It's very easy. You'll get rewarded. Come on forward, Cara. This is one of our senior leaders, and she's going to, so it's, I pledge allegiance, okay?
Yeah.
And there's the flag is right there, okay?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an agenda, an adoption of the consent agenda upon a motion and a second affirmative vote by members present. Approves each and every item so designated. It approves every item so designated. However, prior to the adoption of the consent agenda, any board member may remove any item from that consent. So we have this agenda. We have an addendum that is available with the agendas in back, and that is item 6B3. So if I could get a motion to bring this forward to the floor.
So moved.
Ms. Fortman, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Gullo. Is there anything anyone would like to pull out or anything else?
Personnel A1.
You'd like to
Abstain.
from that one, huh? Are you going to get in trouble
No.
when you get home? No?
No. But
How about
do the right thing?
how about 7A1 also?
You read my mind.
Okay. Okay.
Both of those.
Okay. Anything else anyone would like to pull out? Okay. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. So the board has reserved this time to hear comments from the audience. Those wishing to address the board are asked to stand, give their name and address, and limit their comments to 5 minutes or less per individual or group. Concerns and comments during this session should be directly related to items listed on the proposed agenda for the meeting. Audience members seeking a response should complete a board correspondence sheet and return it to the district clerk, Christine Slagle. Is there anyone who would like to address the board tonight on anything with the agenda? Okay. So we have the minutes from our regular meeting on February 14th. Could I have a motion to bring those to the floor, please?
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Gullo. Any corrections, additions on those? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have our financial treasurer's report and a review of our budget status report for January 2023. Mr. Forts?
Okay, I'll address the budget status report using the dashboard. As we've been seeing throughout the last 6 to 8 months, we're tracking high in the number of areas that we normally track high. We're up in utilities, which I've had to adjust up a little more as we went through January. We're up in transportation due to extra special education runs. We're up in BOCES, also due to high cost special education. And overall, we're tracking right now about 100,000 lower than for total budget than our anticipated. So once again, as we saw in the last year, we're running really close to spending full dollar, which is obviously concerning because that takes away your ability to maintain your fund balance.
Yeah.
On the revenue side, we have good news in that the interest rates continue to be good. So we upped the estimated revenue under that category, and we used some money. And also, we got another check-in on the Medicaid reimbursement. So we're up on that category. So we have two items that are tracking above anticipated. So that'll help kind of offset some of the issues on the expenditure side. Also, as long as we're in this section, I left for each board member the updated budget information booklets listed as 21-22 because of past data that has to be included in it. So that's about 60 pages of comparative data over a long period of time in the area of taxes, personnel, and other information, such things like tuition and transportation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by the board on the budget status report revenues? Your revenue status you're including in everything we did, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I have just, it's a basic question on two of the categories, contractual expenses and material supplies. They have at the bottom of the lines, all other expenses. What does that usually cover?
That would be your instructional areas, your ops areas, things that aren't listed specifically, so print shop would be a good example. Another contractual would be debt service and things like that, so.
Okay, all right. And those things, I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers, they don't seem crazy. So are we in line with that?
Yes.
Thank you. The investment report for July 2022 through January 31st.
Well, I have one more comment on the revenue part of it, because it kind of encompasses the dashboard, but also just wanted to point out that we got $79,000 in expected supplemental lottery aid and $43,000 in general aid during the month.
Okay.
So the investment report, as I mentioned, the rates continue to be good. This is obviously through January, because that's what we're talking about tonight, but we continue to try to keep that going into March. The rates through February and March are running between 4.35 and 4.51%. They're continuing to hold. We're anticipating and talking to the gentleman I deal with, the Treasury bills, a little bit of a dip coming up, but he still thinks we're going to be better than we were a year ago. So we're going to continue to try to track that to be an extra.
Yeah. What's the projected amount that you're investing right now, or going forward? You're starting to pull back, aren't you?
Right now, in terms of what we've earned for interest, through last week, late last week, we're about $100,000 for the year on the T-bills alone, and we had budgeted $5,500 for interest total.
No, I'm talking your principal amount that you've got invested. Are you pulling that back?
Well, you have to pull that back based upon timing.
Right.
So in the fall, you have $16 million worth of tax revenue, so you're able to spread that out and hit a number of months. And now, waiting for the next round of aid, which is late March and early April, you kind of have less to invest, and you have to keep it for payroll and things like that. So
Shorter term.
So we're in a dip right now, and then we'll get the spring sustaining advance of aid, which is usually about $3 million. That'll be late March. And right in that time period, we get the check for the unpaid school taxes, which will be about $850,000. And then that'll give you a little bit of a push to the spring.
Okay. Did you have that investment report in here? I didn't, maybe I passed by it.
Yeah, it was right after all the revenue reports and before the bank reconciliations.
I must have missed it, I apologize. No, okay. Next, we have the treasurer's report for January 2023. Could I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please?
So moved.
Mr. Marshall and Mr. Hawk seconded that. Mr. Forbes,
No comment on those, all good?
all good? The debits equal the credits?
Every month.
That's good job. Okay. Any questions on that? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an item that was previously tabled last meeting because we didn't have quorum without Mr. Johnston. So if I could pull this item number 6A1 off the table. Ms. Powell for and a second.
Second.
Ms. Pello. Okay, so it is on the table now. If I could have a motion to approve this, the letter of resignation for the purpose of retirement from Ms. Johnston,
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, and Mr. Hawk. Any comments?
She's a favorite for sure.
Regret.
She's a favorite for sure.
You know, I don't know if we really ought to approve this. You know, we shouldn't let the good ones get away.
It's bittersweet.
Yes. You're okay with us doing this to you?
Not really, but
All right.
I'll comment at the end.
And I just wanted to share, I know we did this last meeting and eventually turned it over to Mr. Paschke for any comments, but very positive person in the district, a true advocate for physical education, enthusiasm, really looks to get the students involved, and has just done a great job. And a cool Australian accent doesn't hurt anything. So,
Still has it.
I think bittersweet is a good word, and, you know, she will absolutely be missed. Mr. Paschke, anything you want to throw in?
Yeah, Lisa's just been amazing. She's a teacher that kids go out of their way to comment positively about to me. They say things like she cares about us. She cares about us as kids, not just the academic side, but the social and emotional side. She offers things to our kids that a lot of phys ed teachers probably don't. She does Friday walks with the kids where they can they do walk and talks, an opportunity to share their feelings. She's done really cool things in the auditorium where they'll go in, they'll turn out the lights, they'll do relaxation exercises, yoga. She uses room 222, which is a phys ed special room where they do hot yoga and stretches, and they get these giant balls out and rubber band things they're stretching, and just give kids options, which is really nice, and the kids appreciate all that she does for them, and I certainly appreciate the fact that she keeps our kids first place all the time. She's a constant advocate for kids, and those are huge shoes to fill, even though her foot might be a little bit small. She's got big shoes, and we're going to miss her tremendously, and she's just been a fantastic part of our Fredonia family. So again, very bittersweet. We love her a lot. Steve, enjoy your time with your wife, and we wish you guys the best.
Thank you. Yeah, all she asks is that you continue the badminton tournaments. You continue it. So.
Every year, I get a brush burn on my knee from that. Every year. But I love it. It's a good time. And I did get one of her peanut butter pies one year when we came second.
Yeah. But, I was going to comment at the end, but I'll comment now. If it wasn't for this hire, or Fredonia hiring her 19 years ago, we would not be here. We'd be in Australia. So she's loved this district, and this is what's kept her here. So it is bittersweet.
If I could also say, I have 4 daughters who have graduated, and your wife has taken an interest every time she runs into them of what they're doing. And it's just a sincere interest. And it's not just an interest in what they're doing, but when they were going through school, it was always, there's something about women's health and being active, and your wife was very much an advocate for that. And, it's a very unique position here in the school, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you. I'll pass all this on to her.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then you're going to lie to her and tell her we didn't approve. Right?
I don't think she knows she's on this tonight.
We're taping this, Frank.
We are. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's recorded.
With that, all those in favor with regret? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the approval of a letter of resignation for the purpose of retirement for Doug Rector. Would I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please?
So moved.
Mr. Marshall, and a second. Ms. Powell-Fortner. Mr. Ziliak.
Yeah, I'll make a few comments, and I'll throw it out to the administrative team. Doug is one of those individuals that kind of cuts across each building with offering support through our information technology. Every school district has its characters, and Doug certainly falls into that category. He's just a unique demeanor and just kind of overall attitude and vibe about Doug. But if you need something fixed and you need somebody to come down and make something happen, he's there for us and, takes care of whatever might come up. And in his job, a lot of that's spur of the moment, a lot of that is random, and a lot of it comes out of nowhere. And he's always been flexible and willing to pitch in and get the job done. So again, bittersweet. I know technically he's only worked in our district for 9 years. Seems like if I had to guess, he would be here longer than that. And again, I've only been here 2 years. But good guy. Administrators, anything?
I'm going to miss both of our Dougs are retiring from that department this year, and this Doug certainly, I agree, he's a character. I enjoy him. He's, it was kind of out of the blue one day. He 3D printed this neat little tool that you can use to, use a screwdriver and wrenches and all these things. And he just dropped it off. He's like, I think you could use this. And then he just kind of walked out of my office, and I thought that was nice. The other thing that's kind of cool about Doug is that, oftentimes the tech guys get a bad rap in the sense that they might not be personable, and they're just in it for fixing the computer stuff. And Doug takes the time to talk and care about what's going on. So I appreciate what he's brought to our district and miss him when he goes.
Okay.
I think we all feel the same. Both of the Dougs are going to be terribly missed. They do a lot for us every single day, a lot.
Okay. Any comments from the board? With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the approval of a probationary appointment for Abigail Mejia. Could I have a motion to bring that to the floor?
So moved.
Ms. Gullo, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Hahn. Mr. Ziliak.
Yeah, Abigail, we're excited to have her on board. She has experience as a teacher aide at the Jamestown Public Schools. This is her current position, so she is excited to join the Fredonia family, but also have a little bit of a shorter commute. She has specific experience as a special education teacher aide in a self-contained classroom, which is extremely helpful. Experience as a cheer coach in Jamestown as well, and also has some food service experience at Tim Hortons and Berjoda's. Everybody knows Berjoda's if you're a Jamestown person, and also a Dunkirk grad. We're happy to have her on board and look forward to this skill set coming and being part of the district. So welcome to Abigail.
Great. With that, any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an item that we're just going to pull. Ms. Eppinger was not able to take this position, so we're not even going to act on this one. But we do have an addendum item that everyone should have. So if I could get a motion for the approval of a probationary appointment for Katrina Sanders.
So moved.
Mr. Hawk and Mr. Johnston. Mr. Ziliak.
So things are moving fast and furious today. I did not have time to pull bio information on Katrina. We will do that at our next meeting. I apologize for that. It was just a lot happening as we came down to the wire of the meeting today. So my apologies, but I'm certainly happy to have her on board and excited for her to be willing to jump in the mix.
Yeah. Good. Any questions from the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have an item from old business again in regards to Ms. Johnston. And that was previously tabled. So if I could get a motion to bring that off the table.
So moved.
Ms. Hahn, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Gallo, thank you. So now we just need to make a motion to bring it to the floor.
So moved.
Ms. Powell-Fortna,
Second.
Mr. Marshall. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next, we have some individuals who are coming up for re-election on the BOCES board. And we're being asked to nominate individuals. And I guess these are individuals who are already serving on the BOCES board. They're already experienced. What I'm going to do is just make a motion to at least bring this to the floor so we can discuss it, and then go from there. So if I could have a motion. Mr. Hawk, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Powell-Fortna. So we've got, again, Gregory Cole, Thomas DeJoe, David Lowry, and Christine Schnars. Does anybody have any questions on them, or does anyone have an issue with nominating these four for re-election? I don't know, I attended a BOCES meeting here, it was in January, and I think that they do a nice job there with that board, so I've got no problem with this. Any comments, questions? Is everyone, is anyone opposed to nominating these four for re-election? Okay. If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. So that takes us to our superintendent's report.
Yeah, hi, everybody, welcome. Good to see a crowd here this evening. A couple things. One of the things we spoke about at our last meeting was the idea that the district would like to get involved in more long-term planning or strategic planning as a district. And again, we highlighted some of the advantages of long-term planning that include an effort to produce decisions and actions that shape and guide what an organization is, what it does, and why it does it. Also, this process must involve a broad range of stakeholders representing the full spectrum of the school community, so there will certainly be opportunities for people to get involved. The overall process must be transparent and inclusive. A plan must produce action that results in higher student achievement, improved student life, and a greater sense of fulfillment for our faculty and staff. Also, the focus must be real and sustained on improvement for the entire school community. Now, most districts seek some type of an assistance with this kind of process through some type of outside vendor or consultant, although that's not required. The reason that most districts do this is because we all tend to get bogged down in managing those daily issues, those occurrences, those events that tend to take time and energy, but sometimes can impede being able to focus clearly on larger initiatives. There are a variety of groups and individuals who do this type of work. Most use a variety of surveys, interviews, and focus groups to gather a wide variety of information about the district. This would include strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. Then there is an effort made to prioritize all this feedback and then condense this information into action steps that would take place over the next 3 to 5 years. A few potential options for partners in this kind of work could include the following, and I just wanted to provide a small amount of information tonight. Now again, the methods and the theory behind what they're doing, each of these groups is very similar. They really want to involve people. They want to get input. They want to hear from the stakeholders directly. They want to have that communication be as transparent and easy as possible for people to provide back. And then there's this idea of taking all that, prioritizing, and then creating a plan. That seems to be the general mode of operating for people doing this kind of work now. So, possibility number one, there is a group called the Western New York Educational Service Council. According to local districts who are involved with them, this is not a BOCES service and does not generate BOCES aid. In speaking with other districts, the rough estimated cost for them is about $50,000 for them to do this start to end. There's also another group out of Rochester that's led by a superintendent named Kevin McGowan, who works for the Brighton Central School District. Their services are aidable, and the rough cost is around $10,000 after aid. There's also a group, a national group out of California called Education Elements. That's another option. Almost all their work done in the Northeast is fully virtual. Their services are BOCES aidable, and their cost is around $45,000 after aid. There's also a group through the Association of Supervision and Curriculum Development, the district that used this service locally, and there's just one, does not funnel that through BOCES, so there is not aid, and they have been doing an annual contract for the last several years of about $30,000. Another option is PLC Associates. This is a local group in Western New York. Also BOCES aidable, and their initial cost after aid is about $15,000. Last, there is the Center for Professional Development and Educational Reform, which is run through the University of Rochester. This is also BOCES aidable and costs about $10,000 after aid. Any of these services could be covered under the ARP money, which we've been talking about, since our planning would in part address learning loss and other ramifications of the pandemic. Most individuals see the cost-benefit analysis of this kind of arrangement being in favor of the district, seeing that there are several options that are right around $10,000. In this case, of grant money, in which we could get a thorough analysis of our district based on information provided directly from stakeholders, which is then compiled into a logical plan. So the purpose tonight was not necessarily to debate the merits of these different groups, but just let you know that the district is looking at a variety of options, just to give you some idea of the costs involved. And we're looking to move forward in the near future. We're going to be gathering more information and hopefully making a decision about who would be the best partner for us. But we're excited to potentially go through this process. Again, sort of maybe relearn or rethink things we believe we know about the district, and then think about what are those action steps over the next 3 to 5 years that could help us move closer to our vision while incorporating our mission and also those other aspects of the district we've been focused on. I don't know if there's any questions at this time about long-term planning, but I'll do my best to answer. Any questions?
So, just kind of starting point, put the money aside, how do we vet, or how do we achieve finding the best facilitator? So how would that process take place in regards to finding the right fit for our school district?
Right. So I'm going to be interacting with each of these groups. I think sometimes you just get an energy and a vibe. I'm also going to be putting together a series of questions. I'm open to input about how exactly they operate, timeframes, what this would look like in our district, how quickly they could begin this kind of work. I don't know, it sounds like some of them might not be able to start for some time with the work that they have now. So really just trying to take a look at it holistically and trying to do an apples-to-apples comparison about what each of them offers.
And would they be coming with some type of references as to how they've achieved this in other areas? I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't be their groundbreaking,
Yeah.
Voyage on this process.
Yep.
But to that, the success in other districts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I have some initial feedback from some other local superintendents, but I would think either part of the question or part of what they provide the district is some references. And I think that would be incredibly important, and I feel like most superintendents would be very honest in that appraisal of what was done and how it went and whether they achieved the goal they were looking to work towards.
And then one last question. How is this brought to the board? Is this a decision that's made with the superintendent and administration as a recommendation? Or is this something that the board would have to be involved with deciding?
Yeah.
Because we have to vote on it.
Correct. Yes, I think initially it would be our administrative team, myself and district office working on this. We would like to bring a recommendation forward, but certainly it would be a discussion. And within that recommendation, I would have a breakdown of some of the information about all the options that could be reviewed by the board. So we hope to bring transparent information forward and have everybody be able to take a look at all the possibilities, but with a recommendation.
Dr. Ziliox?
Yep.
Ideally, what would be our timeline for kickoff? And so, just how quickly are we trying to get through the selection process and hopefully be able to actually move forward with the planning process?
Yeah. Now, ideally, as I thought about this over the course of this school year,
Right.
It would be great to have something in place by September. We are probably in a moment right now where that is most likely not feasible, but I think it would be helpful if we could gather some information before the end of the school year, potentially give that group, along with individuals here, a jump start on analyzing some of that information, and hopefully be able to wrap that up. It probably couldn't be done over the summer, but at the beginning of the school year, anyway.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
I just had a quick question. The U of R paper that we had received, is that the Brighton one, or that was a different one?
That's two separate ones.
Okay.
So there's a Rochester group that's led by Kevin McGowan, he's the superintendent of Brighton.
Okay.
And then there's another Rochester group that is attached to the U of R.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important to get the selection right, but I think we're all in agreement that it's something we wanted to do for a long time. So I'm excited to get it started once we make a choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The right choice.
The right choice, yes.
Yeah, and I think that time frame,
On some level, I think it's going to kind of be what it is right now, but if we have an opportunity to move more quickly than slowly, I think we'll factor that in.
I don't want to rush into a bad situation.
Right. Secondly, as was mentioned tonight, in terms of our technology department, which is not to be confused with the teachers who teach technology, but more our information technology department, two longtime employees are retiring this year. And thanks again to both Doug and Doug, who will absolutely be missed, as we've mentioned here. We have been contemplating a couple different plans for replacement and how to best move forward with this department into next school year. The first posting you will see, and hopefully shortly, perhaps by the end of this week, most likely early next week, will be to replace our Director of Technology. We feel that this position is initially the most critical to the success of the overall department. The hire would ensure that we have a solid individual in place with a vast knowledge base in this area, can see the big picture and plan for the future, and will also be involved in the hiring that would then subsequently need to be done in the department in the near future. We look forward to a strong group of candidates, and we will be following our usual hiring process to fill the position with the best candidate available. Please feel free to share this information with anybody that you might think would be a good fit for the position, and we will be moving forward shortly. Dr. Wright, anything else you think is relevant related to that hiring?
We've been talking a lot with Doug Prince, our Director of Technology right now, about the various needs that fall within that technology department, including, the infrastructure, how to support that, how to support all of the things that go with Ed Law 2D, which is a requirement that we don't have a choice. We have to comply with that. And there's a lot of regulations that go along with that, along with our district data and the know-how for that. And so that's where, as Dr. Ziliak said, hiring the Director of Technology first allows us to find that good fit. And we talked a lot about, Doug Prince and just what a wonderful person he is and his wonderful amiable qualities. He's always right there. He serves with a servant heart. And we want to make sure that we're continuing that, so that we're providing a service-hearted model for our staff, our faculty, to be able to do what we do with the least disruption, if you will, for our students. And for our staff to be able to use technology. So once that position is in place, it allows us to then say, okay, then what is the yin to that yang, and going forward. So we're trying to do this in a very thoughtful way that is in the best interest of the district to keep things rolling smoothly, as well as meet our goals that we need to meet, both regulatory as well as our own vision statement. So that's how we keep this.
Any thoughts on a recruiting path? I guess I'm just thinking of that now.
Yeah. Well, I think initially, sometimes we're surprised when we have some retirement positions out right now, and some of those positions have a nice little pool, and others are a little shorter. So I think our initial move would be to do what we do, and see what kind of pool we get in, and if it doesn't look like there's a good fit, then I think we could expand and maybe be a little more targeted in our recruitment. But it seems like in our community somehow we have people come forward who are a good fit and eventually do a great job. So another piece of the puzzle tonight, and this goes all the way back as far as my interview. Actually, the first interview I had with this Board of Education, or the board at the time, over 2 years ago. And since that time, we've been thinking about and seeking more information about the skills we are looking to build in our students, beyond the curriculum and content we teach on a daily basis. We have just started to explore options of how we can develop transferable skills in our students throughout their pre-K-12 experience and what that might look like in our schools. For tonight, this is just being mentioned as awareness and also a foreshadowing for future information that we will be bringing forward. We are excited to be at this point where we can broach these kinds of questions and eventually have something in place that will address these needs. So, Mr. Aldrich, you mention this every once in a while, but this has been another thing that's been on my list, along with right next to the long-term planning, and we're starting that conversation, and it really began with our administrative team going to a conference this summer and hearing some information and kind of reigniting that conversation. So that's in process, and we'll have more information over the next few meetings and probably into the summer. Also, just want to mention two more things. One is congrats to Fred Larson. Again, I've only been here 2 years. I do not know Fred, but he is being inducted into the, I think was by now. I meant to mention this last week, the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame in the class of 2023, which I think was a few nights ago down in Jamestown or Lakewood. Who's that? So,
It's Ferd. It's not Fred.
Sorry.
It's Ferd.
Sorry. Someone corrected me before on this. Yeah. But again, just being a social studies guy at heart and being interested in the history of the district, I thought I would mention Ferd tonight, and just have a little moment to recognize him. Last thing this evening, questions internally, externally, have recently been asked about how our districts makes decisions about spending, especially those that occur mid-year. We do build a budget each year through a detailed process that starts in the spring and is eventually brought before our taxpayers at the budget vote, which takes place in mid-May. Each school building and department has input into this process at the same time each year and is able to make requests. As we build the budget, we try to factor in all the needs for the following school year, which include but are not limited to staffing, salaries, benefits, supplies, equipment, services, educational materials, curriculum, technology, repairs, maintenance, and debt service. The ideal time for requests to come to the district is during this window of time when the building of the budget each year is occurring, so we can prepare, plan, and allocate funds as necessary. This is typically done in February, March, and even in April. Might be a little late, but sometimes in April. However, the district understands that unexpected expenses will come up throughout any given school year. A few examples could include emergency work on our facilities, like we had an issue with the Wheelock School chimney last year, increases in fuel, in supplies, in utilities, or perhaps additional needs in either special education and or ENL services. These kinds of unexpected expenses present a challenge to any school district because, number one, they're not budgeted for. And even though we do incorporate some surpluses into our budget process for these kinds of spur-of-the-moment needs, they still catch the district off guard, are still unexpected. These kinds of items, when looked at in isolation, can appear to have a very small financial impact or cost. But in any given school year, these mid-year expenses can total anywhere from about $200,000 to $500,000. When requests come forward, we try to prioritize them initially as those items that are critical or must-have, and then those are items that are less critical. This is often a team effort between some combination of our district office, our business office, our administrative team, and the Board of Education. Sometimes a person or group makes the determination that their arrangement with the district is no longer acceptable to them. This sometimes happens with an entire group of employees who feel this way and request a change in their terms of their employment. This does not necessarily or automatically mean that the district will or has the ability to immediately react. We do our best to listen, take all factors into account, and make accommodations that are deemed necessary either in the moment or as part of longer-term planning. This is not an exact science, and in moments, yes, there is disagreement over how these mid-year requests are handled. It would be nice to be able to approve every request that comes to the district, but this is just not economically feasible. However, these requests often result in the district thinking more or thinking differently about a particular item or group of items, and often result in future changes and adjustments. In the end, we are willing to hear people out. We do our best to manage the many requests that come to the district during any given school year. So I just wanted to provide some additional information and feedback for those of you, and I appreciate people reaching out to me directly, contacting me by email or by phone, asking questions, especially those from outside the district who might not normally understand our budgeting process or the challenges of any given school year. Having said that, any questions in general or related back to the budgeting process?
I know it's a challenge, and it's always a challenge, and I appreciate your work on that. And Mr. Forbes, too. Yep.
Thank you. All good?
Okay. So the board is reserved this time to hear comments from the audience. Those wishing to address the board are asked to stand, give their name and address, and limit their comments to 5 minutes or less per individual or group. Audience members seeking a response should complete a board correspondence sheet and return it to our district clerk, Christine Slagle. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Yes. We have a mic right here. So your name and your address.
It's David White, 2 Birchwood Drive, Fredonia, New York. I'm here, I really shouldn't be here, but I've reached out to the board with about 7 emails and got no response.
Mr. White?
Yes, it is, Mr. David White.
I have never received an email.
That's what I had heard, but I sent 7 of them.
Could you print something out that you sent to us?
I will.
I'm surprised.
Okay, and I've also reached out to 2 board members. One I left a message for to call me back, never got a call. The other one, I talked to another board member and they were going to forward my name and number to this gentleman to call me. He never called me back. I have 4 different incidents that I've had issues with that I need to consult with the board for. I didn't want to bring it out in public like this or anything, but I'm forced to. So the first incident, well, it's actually the recent incident, and I'm here representing myself and my family, along with Brittany White, who is employed by the school here in the lunchroom. Thursday, February 9th, we attended a home game, a basketball home game here. Myself, my wife, my 2 daughters, Brittany and Cassie, they had their kids with them. As we do every game, we sit behind the cheerleaders, just in front of the student section. And at halftime, the cheerleaders had given the student section pom-poms, which I thought was a great idea, get them involved. But at halftime, they started throwing them down. They were hitting cheerleaders in the heads, they were zooming by our heads, and we turned around and we told them, hey, can you please bring them down if you're going to throw them down here because you're going to hit somebody? We got kids down here. I've got my 1-year-old dog, my 1-year-old granddaughter there. So we addressed the situation. They got all collected. They were put in a bag. Halftime came up. The cheerleaders came back at the end of halftime, and they threw these pom-poms back up to all the students again. And I'm like, okay, let's just deal with it. In the middle of the 3rd quarter, a pom-pom comes down and hits my daughter Brittany right in the head, skimmed off her head and hit my 1-year-old granddaughter in the head. Of course, we got up and we started yelling, hey, cut it out. The cheer coach turned around and said, what's happening? We told her what happened. We told her that, it happened already once. This needs to stop. Okay? She looked at us and she says, I've eyed them. I've looked at them. They're not going to do it again. And I says, I'm going to give you an easy solution. Take that bag that you had those pom-poms in and take it up to the kids. Have a couple cheerleaders go up there and collect them all so that this doesn't happen again. She says, nope. I made eye contact with them. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter cheers on the cheering team. She grabbed one of her friends, a cheerleader, and they started working their way up the sides collecting these pom-poms. Cheerleading coach looked at her and said her name and says, no, you come down here and you sit down, we're not collecting them. Okay? 4th quarter, end of the 4th quarter just about. I feel something whiz by my head. My daughter Cassie was sitting next to me. Davion, he's a player on the team. It was his mother. pom-pom hits her right dead in the head. And it wasn't thrown up in the air like they were doing before, it was whipped at her head. It went right by mine. I don't know if they were geared at me or at her. I turned around and I yelled at the students. Okay? I called them idiots. I was trying to protect my family at that time. Mr. Lauer came over. He asked what was going on. I told him. He told me to calm down. Nothing was said to those students. Nothing was said to them. Everything was geared at my response to that and my daughter's response to that. I even had a parent come in my face and say, "You shouldn't be talking to the kids like that." I go, "Did they hit you in the head? Did they hit your granddaughter in the head?" I says, it's like sitting in class and the kid behind you spitting spitballs at you. We went through the proper channels. We told the coach about it. We gave her a solution. She did not take it. Okay? And I thought this was going to be the end of the story. We left. I'm thinking, okay, kids are kids. I work with kids. I've worked with kids for over 20 years as a coach and a mentor. But come Monday morning, the super calls my daughter Brittany, who is employed by you guys, to ask her about the incident. And she tells him, and then he told her that she said a swear word in there. And she's like, "Am I going to be suspended or fired?" He goes, "No." But anyways, they have this conversation. She tells him how it could be all prevented. They get done with the conversation. He calls her back later on that day. Ask her all these questions again about it. He says, "I don't really want to go ahead and escalate it, but I need to ask you these questions." And she answered them. She apologized for it. She was going to take whatever repercussions, punishment that was going to come her way. But we also, and if that was going to happen, we also want the kids to be punished. I want the coach to be punished. It shouldn't even come to that. It should have just been squashed and maybe dealt with in-house or something. But no, she goes into work on Wednesday and the super pulls her into his office again. Tells her she's got to go home. She can't work today. He said he'll pay her for that day, but they've got to have another meeting on Friday. She's had 3 meetings with this guy. So she doesn't get paid for Thursday and Friday. She's a single mom with 2 kids, struggling to even put gas in her car. And he's got to have another meeting on Friday. And she says, "With who?" And he says, "The cheerleading coach." I don't know what for. She goes in on Friday, meets with him. There's nobody in there but her.
Mr. White, we have a 5-minute limit.
Okay,
I'm just asking you to wrap it up.
I'm wrapping it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So she met with him on Friday. They had a little agreement. She was able to go back to work on Monday. But I want the kids, and we got one name. The kid actually texted my grandson to apologize for hitting us with that. One of the kids. And I says, well, if she's going to be punished for it, and she's the victim, we're the victims, the cheerleading coach should get suspended for 2 games. She's liable and responsible for those pom-poms. And also the kids that were throwing them should have been suspended, and I'm not for that. I would like a letter of apology from them, and that's it. Because it goes all ways. I mean, she was the only one punished. And that's all I came here to say. I've got 3 more incidents that I'm gonna come back to the next meeting and talk about, because I can't get in any time with any of the board members. So I'll be back again. Thank you.
Mr. White, we typically ask that you discuss these things with our superintendent rather than the board. The board is here to oversee our superintendent. And so if you have an issue, typically we like you to work that through him rather than through the board.
Well,
The board isn't going to be able to help you out in this.
Well, the
Again,
superintendent is part of the issue. Who can I go to when he's part of the issue?
Okay, so
You oversee him, right?
Do you have our email?
I do have your email.
So if Ms. Slagle, if you could make sure that he's got the correct email, because I have not seen anything from him, so, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
So,
I have the email from the superintendent right here.
okay, so she's going to get you this email for the board, for myself, and you can email me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Jesse Beer, 63 Newton Street. Just to follow up from the last time I was here. Last Saturday morning when I woke up, my phone was going off and I got a lot of texts coming through about the article that ran on the Observer. One was from my older brother, one was from my father. And the one from my father was actually, he was all worried because he was worried that I was going to face some sort of retaliation. And I told him, I really hadn't thought about that up to that point, but I guess time will tell. But really the overall arching theme that I heard from everybody that was sending me correspondence was, I hope that what you said doesn't fall on deaf ears. Well, I had to unfortunately respond to everybody by letting them know, well, apparently it had indeed fallen on deaf ears because Dr. Ziliak has come to my room following the board meeting, I think it was on Thursday, to let me know that, even though everything that I presented was undeniably true, that there's definitely inequities that needed to be addressed, that the district was choosing to ignore, and that maybe they would resolve it next year. It appears to me that the district has shown a pattern of acknowledging when there are issues and inequities, but lacks the will to address them in a timely manner, if at all. Several weeks ago, Ms. Cindy Gloff appeared before you all to talk to you about the issues that face the CSEA union. To put it bluntly, our aides are underpaid and undertrained. Both of my daughters work at local retail establishment and earn either a higher or the same hourly wage. And on top of that, they were both put through a 2-week training period before they actually started their jobs. Okay? We offer little to no training for our aides. Instead, we like to put them into, have one untrained aide go into our cafeteria with over 100 children, and then we wonder why there's behavior issues in there. I currently have a special needs boy in my class who essentially has got a one-on-one aide, and he's now on his third aide of the year. Okay, third, and we're just a little bit halfway through the year. Now that's no reflection on the aides themselves, but that's rather an indictment on how they are constantly shuffled into other assignments or seek employment elsewhere due to poor wages. Okay, and I'm just wondering if this is what you guys think of when you're thinking about our core beliefs and vision. Is this where we're setting our aides up for failure? So in turn, we're setting our kids up for failure. District is also currently facing a severe shortage of substitute teachers. On almost a daily basis when the attendance is released, we've absent teachers and support staff whose positions go unfulfilled because we can't find substitutes to take them. Okay, again, we offer little to no training and pay roughly half of what our neighbor Dunkirk pays. Now, being able to properly use the technology in our classroom, and trust me, is difficult enough, let alone have some sort of expertise, okay, in any of the areas that these people are being asked to teach. I was recently asked to go on a math training at a neighboring district, and when I found out about it at first, I was less than enthused, primarily because the district had known about the training since November, and we were just let know about it the week ahead of time. But the main reason why I was, not looking forward to it is because I know it's going to be a wasted day for my kids. And sure enough, by the time I even got home, I had 4 or 5 emails from students saying, geez, Mr. Beers, we really, the sub was really nice, but she really, had a really hard time teaching us the material, so we're going to have to go over that again. And so I did. The next day I retaught it, and indeed it was a wasted day for my kids. Now, my reason for bringing these matters up is that it appears to show a pattern the district has. Similar to the coaching issue, the district simply chooses not to address the problems that we have. Anytime in the past that I've discussed our athletic facilities with the administrations, I've gotten what I call the magic wand answer. The This is, Jesse, we don't have a magic wand where we can fix these things overnight. And while that is 100% accurate, there are problems that we can fix right here and now. Mr. Forbes, if you could please help me on this one. The district has been cited almost annually in the recent past by the New York State Controller for having too much money in the fund balance, yes?
It's been in the audit report.
Okay. So then I find it, contradictory when the district claims that we don't have any money to fix some of these problems, that where with a district, that has a budget that exceeds well over $30 million, that some of these things would be almost negligible. I understand the district's also been polling other schools in the CCAA to see how many paid positions that they offer their coaches. And it appears that the district likes to use this argument when it's convenient for them. Clearly, we have no issue doing things different when it comes to things like substitute pay, health insurance buyouts, sick day buybacks, or allowing staff who live outside the district to bring their kids into the district without paying tuition, all of which many neighboring school districts do. Maybe it's time for Fredonia to start being leader in some of these areas instead of stop trying to play catch-up with all the other area districts around us. Now, I've been a teacher here for quite a long time. I can easily tell when students are speaking in code. If I ask them if they've completed an assignment and the response is, I'm not sure, that generally means that they didn't do it and they just don't want to admit it. I'm also fairly skilled at reading administration and school board code. And when I hear things like, we'll take matter under advisement, or we're hearing you, or you've got us thinking, in my experience, that normally means just please be quiet and go away. And it certainly appeared at the last board meeting when attempts were made to stifle what I had prepared. Regardless of that, what I'm proposing, though, is that we work together to solve the immediate problems that we can and try to formulate and navigate a path to reach the goals that are currently out of the present reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beers. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Hi, I'm Cindy Gloff. I live on Swamp Road in Fredonia. I too was bombarded with phone calls and text messages after the article appeared in the Observer. Several of the people who contacted me were also concerned about retaliation or consequences for it. And my response was pretty much, there isn't anything, I don't have anything to lose by telling you the truth. I thank the teachers for supporting the CSEA and the paraprofessionals in their endeavors to get a living wage for this very difficult job that we do. We are severely underpaid, and that makes it difficult to keep aides. In the middle school alone, and I don't think it's the middle school, all the middle school is a tricky place to work. There were 4 aides hired before the school year started. One of them walked out abruptly. 2 of them found other positions that pay better and have less work. And another one that I know of is struggling because they have not been trained. They've not been trained in anything. Some of the things that would be beneficial would be de-escalation, as we deal a lot with conflict amongst students in the areas that we are assigned, like study halls and cafeterias and hallways where all of those conflicts happen. Restorative justice, we have several rooms that have different teaching styles in them, which are necessary. But we have aides that don't understand why things are different for this one than they are for this one. And it's because there are differences, and there are different teaching styles that are more effective for one student than the other. The new hires do not understand these things because they have not been trained. In the past, I've been trained on needs of special ed. Years ago, Kristen Farrow made sure that if I was ever interested in a training that was being offered to the teachers, that it was made available to me. I know I was kind of an outlier, and I know that several of our aides, many of our aides, don't volunteer for things like that, but I did almost any time that there was something that was going to benefit me or benefit the students within our school. When we talk about budgeting and middle of the year changes, when you approved and ratified the teacher contract, one of the caveats of that contract was that the teachers, because of the lack of subs, the teachers could sign up to sub for each other, which I think is fabulous that they are allowed to do that. The part I don't think is fabulous is when I was being asked to cover classes for a teacher, according to my contract, I got $5 more an hour, and the teachers, although it's well-deserved, are getting $41 an hour. So for a day of just teaching those classes, you have paid $216 more per day than you used to pay when you were asking aides. Now, I think the teachers more than deserve that. I just find it to be an inequity, because even some of them are going outside of their content, and lots of times I was in the room I was assigned to, and I knew where the teacher was, and I knew what the plan was, and I was able to deliver it the way the teacher that I was subbing for would deliver it. Lots of times they're teaching something that's out of their content. And so, although they're a certified teacher, they don't necessarily do the same job as an aide who sits in the room. When minimum wage goes up next year in January again, I hope that you budget for that, because you will have a large group of paraprofessionals that will have more than 5 years of your employment, being employed by you, that will yet again be at minimum wage. I would appreciate it greatly if you would consider this in writing your budget, because you've already lost me. You are going to lose anyone else. They're not going to stay for a minimum wage job that they could go anywhere else and get paid more and work less difficult positions. We can't change my situation because I'm going no matter what, but I would like to challenge you to do better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board tonight? If not, our next regular meeting of the Board of Education is March 14th, 6 o'clock, right here in the high school library. For the board members, Aaron Graffita has invited the board to read to the WELOC class, her WELOC class. And she has put out schedules if anyone is interested. You will see me there Thursday morning, bright and early, to read to the WELOC school. So if anyone, she's interested in having us do that. With that, Mr. Johnston, any announcements, any comments?
Just taking in all the comments tonight in public session, so thank you for coming in. Good luck to the basketball team Thursday night. Good game. Yeah, so, and also thanks for all the kind comments about my wife. I'll pass it on to her. Much appreciated.
Ms. Golo.
No comments, just thanks to everyone for speaking, and we appreciate hearing, not to dismiss it at all. We appreciate hearing everybody, what's on your mind.
Yes, thanks for the time, thanks for being here. There will be discussion, so we can move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Hawk?
So, Mr. Beer is speaking this evening is just an echo to me as to what I heard him say about our facilities, and I appreciate your honesty and coming forward, because he was there when we were putting our capital project together, and he was championing for change, and has a lot of those issues that I know are unresolved too. I can't recall the last facilities meeting, and I would ask that we try to put one together for the facilities committee to address that in some way, shape, or form. John will know when our next project's coming out. Our facilities are in rough shape. Yeah, I give it to him. I give it to you too that, state aid is given on teaching stations is what I have learned. It's difficult to do those pieces in whole in regards to just using money that we've got as surplus. So, and then to Mr. White, I want to apologize. I was out of town, got your message, but that was kind of been with a bunch of others, and you and I have had dealings outside of the school, so I didn't know it was part of the school, or I would have called you earlier. And the inequity to the whole wage piece, this is really a problem all over the place. I mean, inflation, it's rough out there. Yeah, I definitely get it, and I hear you. I just don't know the answer. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to echo what the rest of the board has said so far, I can assure you your comments do not fall on deaf ears. We've had vigorous comments about this and will continue to do so, so thank you for your time. And then also shout out to Unified Bowling, which had an awesome match yesterday. It was great to see so many excited faces.
It's a great program, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you to people who spoke. Mr. White, we really did not receive your emails, and I'm sorry about that, and we will figure out how to make sure that you're getting those. And I'm sorry about what happened to your family. I want to thank so many administrators for coming so far to go to basketball games. Mr. Paschke, Cleve Hill, Dr. Z, Burgard. We've seen our athletic director, and just, it's so nice to see everybody, and the kids feel so supported. And I feel safe when I look around and see all our people. So thank you.
Dr. Wright?
All right, thank you to everybody who attended today and who spoke. That's the reason we have a process like this, and it honors that process, so thank you for that. Congratulations to the varsity girls and boys bowling team for their wonderful finish, and I'm excited for Thursday's match for basketball. And it's been a lot of fun to hear all the buzzing and pounding and chattering as the musical is entering its final stages, and looking forward to that in a few weeks. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing. And for Lisa Johnston, we are certainly going to miss her tremendously, and all of her tournaments, all of her opportunities for staff to interact with students. I know for me, being somebody who was new last year, she reached out a hand of friendship immediately and pulled us into the Can Jam, I think I have that right this time, tournament, which I had never played before, in the badminton tournament, and so it really was wonderful to create the opportunity for staff and students to interact in a way that we never get to, and it was just so much fun. So just appreciate all of her enthusiasm and just the light and joy she brings with her and all that she does, so thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Paschke?
To thank everyone for their comments tonight. I'm very hopeful that the board is listening and acting on these items. Also, I'm pleased to announce our valedictorian for this year's class is Alex Weiss, and our salutatorian is Josie Tomaszewski. And congratulations to them. They'll be putting together their bios and pictures, and we'll be having more information out about that. Of course, they'll be getting their medals at class night and all of those things. I did get to meet with both sets of parents and give them the good news, so that we're off and running with that, which is actually almost a month early this year, so we're ahead of the game. We just finished up Black History Month today. We spent every single day of this month highlighting Black history. And tomorrow starts Women's History Month, and I am so happy that Brandy Newey has stepped forward, and we're doing, right outside the high school office, she's got a big poster section set up, and there is a different woman that we're going to be honoring every single day. And she has also put together something to send out to the students so that they can nominate a local woman that we can honor on the 8th of March. So it's going to have to be a quick turnaround for National Women's Day. So we're excited about that. Good luck to the boys basketball team for the semifinals on Thursday night at Buff State. And for anyone who's interested, we're going to be doing an Orange and Black Day on Thursday to support our team. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up on March 9th, so looking forward to that. And of course, the musical, which has already been mentioned, but Crazy for You is coming out the final 2 weekends in March, so make yourselves available for that. And tickets are already on sale online.
Thank you. Ms. Troutman?
Yeah, thank you for the comments. Please know we support you as well. Safe School Ambassadors, we trained 21 more 5th through 7th graders. So our total in the entire building, 5 through 8, is 53 students, and it's really an anti-bullying program. Really teaches the kids about how they can help support changing the culture of our building to a better place. So thank you to the adults and the kids that participated in that. We'd love to see more and more kids involved in that. We had our spelling bee. Claire McMurtry D'Amato took first place. She's an 8th grader. She did a really great job. And Addie Stelrock took 2nd place. She's a 6th grader. So it was really fun. We haven't, because of COVID, we haven't done our spelling bees. So it was our first time back at it. And it was pretty exciting for the kids. We do have parent-teacher conferences coming up, so we're starting to prepare for that. The link went out to our families today, so it's a busy time. Usually in the middle school, we get a lot of parents involved in that. So looking forward to that.
Mr. Drowninger?
Great, thank you, and thank you to the aides, teachers, and parents for your support. And like Mr. Beers, we're going to work together through this process, so thank you. Just 2 quick things. Some of our 3rd and 4th graders recently went to the Buffalo Science Museum, and they had a great hands-on experience there, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart. And our teachers were very complimentary to our students, because when they were there was a false fire alarm, and they had to vacate the Buffalo Science Museum, but our students were very well prepared for this, and we had enough chaperones on staff. And the students just got back right to normal business. But the teachers were thankful that we had practiced this. So that's a big testament to our school safety officer and our principals too. Our Big Buddy program is well underway. It melts your heart to see, because what we're doing is we're taking some high school kids and we're partnering them up with elementary kids, and they pull our kiddos out of lunch, and they take them to like a cool spot in the building to eat lunch. So some of our kids got to go to the high school snack station to get like a snack, and that would blow their mind. And it was awesome. So they had a really good time.
Locker stop.
The locker stop. I didn't know.
The snack station.
Whatever. But we have about 8 kids in that, and I want to like double down on this because it's really special. And then along those same words, we're doing the Make a Connection program, where we're taking adults in the elementary school and partnering them with elementary school kids who just need an extra 5 minutes a day. And these adults are volunteering their time to meet the kids at their lockers, surprise them with something in the morning, build these kids up with some positive words before the start of the day. And that's been really well received by our parents and teachers and students as well. So good things going on at the elementary level.
Yeah, definitely. Ms. Farrow?
I don't have any news to report tonight, but I just wanted to state that it's truly a privilege to serve the district and the community, and I too appreciate the comments and concerns that our community members have brought forward.
Thank you. Ms. Piper?
There, again, it takes a lot of courage to stand up and say some of the things that you said tonight, so thank you for sharing that with all of us. And appreciate you taking the time to do that. It's important for us all to work together. We like rocking and rolling. Our UPK went to a local venue. Dawn Manzella is a local physical therapist, and she has opened the Chautauqua Children's Gym. If you have not been there, it's amazing. Our UPK kids were pleased. Our PTO sponsored a trip for them to go support a local business. It's all sensory integration, so it was fabulous for our kids to be able to go. They had a snack, they did a craft, and they spent some time at the children's gym. So I highly recommend it. It's great. It is Read Across America Month, as Mr. Aldrich noted, so please come join us. Today we're dropping everything in the hallway and reading, so we had to step over children all day today as they were dropping everything in the hallway and reading. It was fabulous. It was a really fun day. And we're also celebrating Dr. Seuss Week as well, so a lot of fun. UPK and K registration is now happening, so if anyone knows anyone in the community that has someone that needs to enter kindergarten or pre-K, please call us at WELAC. We'd love to have you join us. Great.
Great, thank you. Mr. Forbes?
Nothing this evening.
No? Okay. Ms. Slagle?
I wanted to talk about Lisa Johnston a little bit as well. Dr. Ray stole a few of my words, but she did the same thing to me when I joined the district. She extended a hand, she made sure to take time and invite me to do things. I have almost no interaction with kids in my job, unless I take the time to go out and walk, which I do, but being part of the tournament is definitely something that kind of pulled me out of my shell and gotten to know kids in the district and adults as well, and so that's been a lot of fun. But she is really just a very thoughtful person, and she takes time, which is something we all forget to do. She takes time to reach out, to say a kind word, to send an email, and really those things take very little time out of our day, but we forget to do them, and she never does. So I always appreciate that she extends those kind words, and as always, she's always doing something new and exciting with the kids. You can tell that they love to be in her classes, and she's going to be very sorely missed, but I hope to take some walks around the community with her. I'm sure Dr. Wright and I can do that, so congratulations to you both, and just extend my thanks to her for everything she's done.
Thank you. Okay, so the board anticipates the need to enter into executive session to discuss matters pertaining to particular personnel. So if I could get a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Ms. Goel and Mr. Hawk. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are in executive session at 7:25. Thank you, everyone.